So the New York Jets are not a win now team, which means that they should have a very frugal, modest, quiet, don't do a lot free agency, right? I actually think that the opposite is true with the 2026 New York Jets. And I do think they should be big spenders with a caveat. I think the New York Jets should be more than willing to highlight a few select names at desperate positions of need that could significantly move the needle on this team and go after them if they are expensive players, right? You see Leo Chenal on the thumbnail, guys like Devin Lloyd, right? Guys like Tyler Linderbaum. I don't think Alec Pierce is going to come to the Jets, so I'm kind of crossing him off. I don't anticipate the Jets are going to make a massive move at receiver in free agency, but again, like the top level safety, Kobe Bryant, who could potentially get close to $15 million a year. Like if you're telling me the Jets day one, they're like, hey man, we're going to give Devin Lloyd, top end linebacker money. We're going to peel off 14 million a year for Kobe Bryant because that's what it took to get him here. And you know what? We're going to do the CJ Mosley contract and say, Tyler Linderbaum, you're the highest paid center in NFL history. And then the rest of it is like vet minimum guys. You got 11 draft picks. You got some draft picks you made last year, young roster, and let the rest of the depth and the role players let the draft picks fight out for that, right? Because there's really a few ways you can go about it. Number one, they could just really sign nothing but almost anyone, like the Derek Notties of the world last year, the Josh Reynolds. They could just do nothing but that, right? That's option A. Option B, they can sort of spread the wealth from like $6 million to this hole, $7 million to that hole, a little Alex Anzalone sprinkled in, whatever over here. And then you feel like there's viable names at many roster spots. Okay, I kind of get that plan, but I think we've seen some of the names that churn out year in and year out with free agency with the Jets that we think are going to do that. And for every DJ Reed, there's just a lot more Alan Lazards. And that's free agency in general. Like to be fair, like the Seahawks are not Super Bowl champions because they win free agency every year. It's because look at their drafts the last like 4 years, man. Ever since they traded a couple of first round picks for Jamal Adams, they've been crushing it. They've been crushing it with their drafts. So to me, man, if you could get a couple, like even if it's three, again, if it's the top linebacker, a top safety, and you get like a Tyler Linderbaum, again, I'm putting receiver to the side because I don't think they're going to be in that business. Even Linderbaum is unlikely, but again, money talks. Like if you're willing to do what they did with CJ Mosley and beat everybody else by 10, 12%, it is what it is. And you're like, okay, now you have like actual force multipliers. You have a force multiplier on the second level of your defense and third level of your defense, and you're making your offensive line of strength. And now you have all these picks. You have four top 50 picks that should be immediate starters as well. So if you did that, like three really high level free agents, four draft picks, boom, that's seven start. I mean, you have 22 starters on offense and defense. That's seven starters right there. You turned over a third of your starters, right? And then you have second year players who should be better. Guys who were maybe starting who are now bumped down to depth. That's an approach that I think the Jets should take. Now, if all those top guys tell them no, then they got to pivot and they got to do the spread it out method. I totally understand that, but I think their first call should be to some of these quote unquote bigger names, and they should be willing to spend the money because they have the money. And furthermore, they also have the most dead cap in the NFL, and they're top five in cap space, which means their 2027 cap space is a ton, right? Because that dead money is going to be way down after 1 year. So they're just not paying a lot of guys. Like, who are they paying right now? They're paying Garrett Wilson, and that's like almost it. It seems like Brandon Stevens get a little bit of money, but yeah, man, I'll be big spenders, not in the sense of we're going to sign six guys to 10 million, but more of we're going to pick like three dudes who are going to get kind of market setting contracts and have them actually be players that are real building blocks that we can work with, not guys who we kind of sign and we're like, We're looking up, a year into the season. Okay, when are we going to cut Midi McVeteran so we can replace him with a draft pick? Y- like I'd rather day three McGee play over Midi McGold on the back end of this roster. And of course, goes without saying that these big signings should be second contract players. I'm not talking about signing Kevin Byard to a bunch of money. He's actually, he's still pretty good. Him and Demario Davis are like the two guys where I'm like, if the Jets sign them, they're probably going to become washed, but they were still very good last year. But yeah, of course, like Leo Chanel, 26, Devin Lloyd, 26, 27, Linderbaum off his rookie contract. So guys that you could almost like they're a high draft pick. Like you're going to be here 4 years minimum because an expensive stopgap for 1 year just doesn't make sense on this roster. Like, okay, if Aaron Glenn has a relationship with Demario Davis and he just needs somebody who could steady the middle of his defense for 1 year, yeah, I love Demario. That's fine, but ideally, you wouldn't be doing a ton of that. You'd go in with like again 3 big swings, and then let the draft fill out the rest of the roster. Because if you look at, the Jets have look at last year, Membu, Mason Taylor, AZ Thomas, Malachi Moore, Arian Smith. That's 5 guys in the first 4 rounds. Then they're going to have 6 players in the first 4 rounds this year. That's 11 players are taken in the first 4 rounds, right? Those should be players you have a plan for and that are going to play in a role for the team like pretty soon. Those aren't dart throws. It grinds my gears. Yeah, let's take a second round dart throw. Second round dart throw. Well, yeah, that's how you become the Jets. Are the Seahawks doing second round dart throws? I doubt it. They're probably doing second round. Yeah, we know this guy's going to be kick ass. Here's exactly how he's going to fit in our system. Here's a timeline of the role we want him to play, and here's like the check marks here's the remedial plan we're gonna put into place if he's not there yet. They didn't dart throw their way to a Super Bowl with high picks. Second round dart throw, third round dart throw. These terms should be abolished. 7th round, Zach Kuntz is a dart throw. It's fine, whatever. He has a 10 round score. He sucks at football. You draft him, it's fun. He can't play, fine. Picks in the top 100 should not be dart throws. So that's how I think they should attack it. I have no idea what they're going to do, but I think that's kind of how you should go for it, right? Because it's all the contracts we regret are the mid guys that get paid very well. Laken Tomlinson was just like, what the F? Because he was not that bad in San Francisco. Was he overpaid? Yeah, of course. But he was not that bad. He just, that was one of the weirdest ones. And he wasn't super old. He didn't get hurt. He just forgot how to play football once he signed with the Jets. Or maybe once he got away from Trent Williams, that one was weird. But we know the Uzamas, the Lazards, like the Brandon Stevens, Mike Williams, Carl Lawson got hurt, Corey Davis, like, a bunch of So just, how about where you get some guys like what they are, right? You know what Leo Chanel is bringing to the table. You know what Kobe Bryant's bringing to the table. You know what Tyler Linderbaum is bringing to the table. And there's not going to be any point where you're talking about benching them. When can you cut them? Like, they're just here and they play and they're good, right? That's what they would do if Moogie would respond to my text. This is the plan I outlined for him. Let all the young guys battle it out for the rest of the spots. What's up, Jake? Appreciate it. Yep, two a day. This is the second Sunday I think I've done 2 a day. The other day, what was it? Saturday? Yesterday? I believe it was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday it was like 60 degrees in Buffalo, New York. So I'm like, I am not thinking about the Jets today. I need to be as outdoors for as long as humanly possible. But now it's like, man, all of a sudden it's here. And I like that we get a reprieve of draft talk for like, a 2-week lock-in to free agency. And then from then on, people will already be sick. Will already be sick of the draft. More than a month away from the draft. We'll be absolutely done with it. Everyone will have their guys who they hate, who they love. Bailey Bros, Reese, Riders, whatever. And then just me still pulling for Ruben Bain. Ruben Bain is going to be so good. I don't care what anyone says. We have the federal informants of mock draft Twitter are telling me somebody with the legs of a cornerback and the bend of the Tin Man is better than Ruben Bain because of his pass rush win rate against Kansas. Yeah, okay. Those are undercover FBI agents, and I'm not falling for it. Ruben Bain's games were televised. I'm good. I saw it. Joe thinks that, speaking of the draft, Reese is a no-brainer pick. I mean, if I had to predict who would be the pick, it would be Reese. Yeah. Streaming like the rent is due. I don't even know. Probably. Yeah, see, my mortgage just gets taken right out of my paycheck. It goes right into my escrow. So I don't even know when I don't even know when the bank takes it from the escrow. I don't know when my mortgage is due. I'm assuming it's the first of the month, right? Probably. But yeah, that's a scam too. When you look at if you look at like how much is actually going to the principal of the home, it's like, oh my God. it's like, or it's like $5. It's like $5 in equity a month that you gain. And the rest of it is just taxes and interest. I don't think free agencies this year are worth paying the big money to. Yeah, well, a couple are. I think Leo Chenal, I think Devin Lloyd, I think Kobe Bryant, and I think Tyler Linderbaum would be the four guys. We could build a fantastic roster, whoever our QB is, whoever the QB of the future is. Yeah, I think you want to feel like if you're dropping a quarterback in there, if you're drafting a quarterback next year, you want to feel like you have a real team. James says, finally got to see one of these live. Keep making awesome stuff, man. Eventually, when we are 80 years old, maybe we'll have the promised land of a Super Bowl. Yes, man. We'll eventually. Eventually. You see how ungrateful some of these other fan bases are? Bills fans too, man. Bills fans are fully crashing out. I'm like, you guys get to go to like the divisional round minimum every year. I guess you just get used to it, right? Then it's like oh, you can't win a Super Bowl. They can't get that monkey off their back. What's the cost of these 5 first-round picks going forward? That's a good question. Pick 2 is a lot. So pick 2 is like 50 million over the 4 years. That's like fully guaranteed. And then I think pick 19 is like 20 million for 4 years. And then it's a pretty big drop off to where the second round picks are not really stressing your cap that much. Just need to focus on defense this offseason. I would guess the free agency signings are going to be heavily defense. What if we get Brian Thomas Jr. traded for the 44th pick? So, I mean, yeah, I think he would be. I'll put it this way: if the Jags are willing to let him go for the 44th pick, I'd almost be like nervous. I'm like, what is the catch? Because it's a little bit of a red flag if the team is trying to get rid of Brian Thomas Jr. because Travis Hunter is going to be playing like full-time corner almost. That's what the reports were this spring. Travis Hunter is getting rid of cornerback. Okay, so Brian Thomas Jr. is definitely their should be their wide receiver 1, right? I know he wasn't at all times last year, but he put up 1,300 yards as a rookie. They still have him on cost control for a few years. So if the Jaguars are really willing to sell low on Brian Thomas Jr., I'd have massive reservations about like what is the deal in the locker room or like what's going on with that. Kind of similar to Marvin Harrison Jr. Especially if it's after year 2, because sometimes when it gets to like AJ Brown, I think it was year 4 or whatever, where it's like they just didn't want to pay him, right? But after 2 years, where it's like he's not even extension eligible, um, it makes me nervous if it is true that they are actively shopping him. Or it could be made up. We don't know. Seems like there's been some smoke there, right, though? Yeah, I am gonna have Dylan on tomorrow. Well, I think it's still me to host because we didn't do it last week, Dylan, for tomorrow, I believe. And then yeah, Jake hasn't been on the channel in like yeah, a couple of years. So yeah, I'll have to get Jake on some point. The whole NFL is linked to the Jets, yeah, because agents want them to say, hey, but they want to be able to say, hey, well, you don't want to pay us, the Jets will. The Jets are always the leverage team. Could you actually see Gino coming back here? I mean, how many teams would give him the chance to start, right? If he wants to keep playing football, he doesn't have many options. Reese and Bain are well above Bailey as prospects. I would agree with you, but if they take Bailey, I'll keep it up in mind because, you know, a lot of smart people think Bailey is going to be a stud, so he could be really good, right? Um, and I see Bailey as more of like a mid first round kind of player. But if you look back at a lot of drafts, a lot of guys who are taken in the mid first round end up being the best players in the class anyway. So, or like JSN, the example of that, TJ Watt and JJ Watt, both brothers were, mid first round, kind of seen as high floor, low ceiling, lower ceiling kind of players. Look at the draft that Aaron Donald, and Odell Beckham Jr. both being taken outside of the top 10. So even within the skipping past the Tom Brady's and the crazy outliers, even within round one, Justin Jefferson going to the end of round one. You feel like it's going to be another second wave of free agency this year. Um, I'm not sure what you mean, Garrett. Jets will sign three top tier 12 to 16 million and three in the 6 to 8 million. I mean, 12 to 16 is almost middle range, right? In this NFL, like 6 to 8 is cheap. 6 to 8 million is like backups, guys who are competing to start maybe. Yeah, I did see this. Tom Pelissero reported this that teams can now call up to like 5 free agents and they can talk with the GM and the coach. So I gotta be honest. I thought that you could always just do that. Like I just assumed that like the whole team could just call up the guy and they always just talk to him. I didn't know that it was just through the agent. So yeah, I guess that's good because that's how I thought they were always doing it, man. Say what you want about Glenn, but one thing I can say is that nothing leaks out anymore. Yeah, I think that's a big change. Now, is that more Glenn or the front office? But there were some squeaky wheels that are not part of the team as much anymore. Oh, so Garrett, you think he means that are they going to pass on the first couple of days? Um, and then like we're all gonna be freaking out because they didn't sign anyone, and they get like second tier, second wave guys. Well, I hope not. 'Cause the premise of my stream is you get a few of those um first wave kind of guys, right? Where's my hat? Yeah, I usually am wearing a hat, but I do have hair. It is under there. It's I just got a cut actually, so there you go. Namath is linked to the Jets. Yeah, I mean we'll take him back. Maybe he can have a 2015 Ryan Fitzpatrick year, right? So what we all say, these parroted phrases every offseason pickup. The Jets gonna mess it up for the 15th straight year. Maybe. Last year, the first signing was a fullback. Yeah. I really wanna see if they re-sign, Michael Clemens, because that is gonna people are gonna freak out. I actually think that Max Mitchell is worth re-signing as a backup, though. Um, but something tells me, like, if they were willing to, keep Michael Clemens for his almost 5 million last year, play him as much as they did all year, are they gonna be willing to re-sign him for the veteran minimum? Maybe. Which free agent would you try to bring in as soon as free agency opens? Kobe Bryant, Leo Chanel, Linderbaum. I know Linderbaum, like, I know he's well, they're all unlikely to go to the Jets because the Jets are one of 30. Well, first of all, how likely is that they leave their team? That's like coin flip one, right? Not even coin flip because it's not equal 50 per 50, but spin the wheel of if they leave their team or not. And then if they do leave their team, spin the wheel versus 31 other teams versus the Jets. So obviously any individual free agent besides Alex Anzalone, maybe it's less than 50% chance they come to the Jets. But those would be the three I would call up. Chanel or Devin Lloyd, whichever flavor you want. Um, Kobe Bryant and Linderbaum. Michael Clemens, who playing for the Wong Dong Tigers. He'll probably be playing for either Aaron Glenn or Robert Sala. Robert Sala will probably sign him. Like him and Tony Adams will probably go down to Tennessee, I would imagine. CBA requires 50 million to be spent. Hopefully, real players say yes. We don't overpay for bar. Yeah, that's what I'm saying because they're gonna spend some money regardless. So I'd rather it be on real players. Because again, if you treat like Kobe Bryant, Linderbaum, Chanel, like those are like first round pick caliber players. Like if you took any of those guys in the first round, maybe Chanel and maybe not top 10 or top 5, but if you took them all in the first round, in the middle to late first round, and they turned out to be those guys, you'd be happy. So it's like, okay, then it's almost like saying you have 5 first round picks, right? Like that. Okay, how much could you turn around your roster if you had 5 first round picks? Like a lot. Because like now you're getting like some really, really good players, some really high end talent. That's how I kind of see this free agency. Like just go get those younger studs, get a few of them. Because again, if you get 3 of those, you get 2 first round picks this year, you get 3 first round picks next year, and then 3 second round picks for the next year. So you have 8 premium picks the next 2 years. Get 3 of these dudes who could really play in free agency this year. Then you have 8 more. It's 11 players. And that's not even considering other draft picks. That's half your starters on offense and defense. You could turn around this roster in 2 years. Based off recent reports, do you think taking Ty at 16 is the move, or should we wait? I would not be shocked if they took him at 16. I would prefer that they don't, but I don't think it's like the end of the franchise if they do necessarily. I'll definitely keep an open mind because there's stuff about Ty Simpson that I really do like. Like if they took Drew Aller or Garrett Nussmeier in the first round, I'd be like, okay, we could just pack this up now. And I guess it's not serious, but yeah, Simpson's pretty good. Now I still think it's too risky of a profile to take at 16 because of things that we've spoken about ad nauseum. But probably wait until 2027 would be my answer to that, and not because I think 2027 is going to be some amazing guaranteed and awesome class. It's just in a vacuum. is Ty Simpson worthy of being the 16th pick? And I would say no, but not crazy. Like 33, yes. 16, no. And I do there's a distinction there. I do think there's a distinction there. It is a bit of a difference. Um, because of how much like the financial commitment and how likely it would be if they could move off of him if it didn't work out. Like, you know, Glenn gets fired at the end of this year. Then we godfather Tomlin for 2027 and get Arch Dynasty begins. I mean, I've heard worse plans. I've heard worse plans than that. Would you trade Garrett to have 3 firsts this year and 4 next year? Okay, so wait, how many more firsts are we getting? Well, so 2 firsts. Would I trade Garrett Wilson for 2 first round picks? No, I mean, okay, if unless if it was like the Cardinals and it's the 3rd overall pick this year, maybe you consider it, but realistically, no. I wouldn't want them to trade Garrett Wilson for 2 first round picks. The mock draft I did the other day. Yeah, I went through all the teams. I got Reese, Thieneman, Concepcion, and Jacob Rodriguez. Yeah, I felt great about all that besides Thieneman. Like, Thieneman at 16, I'm like, probably kind of rich, but yeah, I think like 16, 16 is kind of like the quarterback discourse where it's like there's not a lot of popular slam dunk options once you remove, because at that point, Tate, Lemon, Styles, Downs, obviously Reese, Bain, Bailey, all off the board, and then it's like, okay, who's your and then, well, Jordan Tyson, to me, it's like, dude, he missed half his college games. I, he missed half his college. I would rather. I'm gonna let somebody else be right about Jordan Tyson staying healthy. Like, come on, man, half your college games. He's gonna come to MetLife, and he's gonna have seven toe sprains day one. So, and I don't think that he is a like he's very good, but is he a Jamar Chase level prospect where it's like, oh my gosh, he fell due to medicals, but you have to take the chance because he could be like the wide receiver one in the NFL? I don't quite think so. Now, he might be the best wide receiver in this class if you turned injuries off like Madden. But unfortunately, we can't do that. So I would rather take Omar Cooper Jr. than a Tyson because you can't take guys who don't play. It's been too many different injuries with him. I told Daniel said he told Matt O'Leary. What did you tell Matt O'Leary today? All right, this is a major opportunity in free agency to leapfrog the Dolphins. Well, in terms of the AFC East, yeah, that's the conversation because the Bills and the Pats are playing one sport and you and us are playing an entirely different one, man. And the Dolphins are just taking one on the chin. They're eating all their dead money with Tua. Yeah, we have 75 million cap space and you have 5 million. Okay, well, if the Jets do not finish with a better record than the Dolphins, I think that should be grounds for everyone to be fired. People ask like how many games they need to win. It's like, I don't know, man, because if I say 7 and they win 6, but all their losses by were like 1 point and they put in their quarterback at the end and he looked really good the last 4 games. It's like, okay, right? It's hard to put a fine line on it. But if they finish in last place in the division and they lose more games than the Dolphins, everyone should be fired. That's the most fair ultimatum that's ever been given because the Dolphins are going to sign like nobody because they have no money and it's like a year zero for them. Anzalone is going to be a free agent. I'm just kind of unmoved by Anzalone. I don't know why. Like, if the Jets don't sign him, I'll be fine with it. You know, I heard Connor Hughes say that they're not going to get in a bidding war for Alex Anzalone, and it's like, yeah, like I'm not going to get in a bidding war for like a Wegman sub either. Like, what do you mean? It's just I'm gonna give you $12. You're gonna give me a sub. Like it is. It's a Danny's favorite with provolone, lettuce, tomato, onion, mayo, a little bit of oil. Cut it in fourths, and put it in the bag. That's how you sign Alex Anzalone. It doesn't need to be anything more than that. Put it in the bag. You don't want to, then we'll just call somebody else, or we'll play fourth round Johnson. I really like Alex Anzalone is not moving the needle like a Leo Chanel, like a Devin Lloyd. Even if it's just for 1 year and you want a veteran, DeMario Davis, who's like 80, is still better than him. So I'm not crashing out one way or the other on Alex Anzalone. They could do whatever they want with him. JD Surf City says, except for Reese, Downs, or Styles, no other non-QB is no other non-QB changes the trajectory of the Jets rebuild. It's why I expect to reach for Tyler Aller. Well, I think that's the conversation at 16, right? Because it's the trade-off. Now we'll see. Right? People are like, how do you know what the draft class is? The draft class could be anything. No one knows whatever. It's like, all right, man, you want to take Nussmeier at 2? No, of course not. Okay, so you have an opinion. We have thoughts. We have opinions about it. We don't know, but we have some thoughts. Darren Muji had some thoughts about this draft class relative to the next one, which is why he deferred the first round pick in the Quinn Williams trade. Right? So I know people freak out when you say like it might not be the best draft class. Those same people will tell you that the quarterback class is trash and they want to wait till next year, though. So I don't know. But yeah, man, that's the conundrum. Is you look at pick 16 and it's like, okay, Dylan Thieneman, Peter Woods. I love Omar Cooper Jr., but more than most people, so I'm probably overrating him. That's the conversation you're having. Like, in a lot of years, I think those guys would be closer to the end of round 1. So you don't feel like you're missing out on some amazing player where you're like, hey, shoot, man, we'll take like whatever. If there's a 30% chance Ty Simpson could be a franchise QB, and there's like a 70% chance that Peter Woods could be a really good 3-tech, like that's a calculation that you kind of have to weigh in your mind a little bit, right? Yeah, I would put Bain in there. I do think Bain has like a defensive player of the year caliber ceiling. I really do. If Lemon and Tate are gone at 16, it's gonna be a corner. I think they could take a corner in round 2. I'd be surprised if it was a corner at 16. I wouldn't want that, but it could happen. It could definitely happen. What do you think about trading for Greenard from the Vikings? Down year, 24.5 sacks previous 2 years. Vikings are 46 million in the red, looking to move him. Yeah, so the thing about Greenard is that right away you look at his production, you look at his age, and you're like, okay, what's the catch? He had an injury at the end of last year. So like, oh, is this injury really bad? Maybe, but as you point out, the Vikings seem to be just in a spot where they're like, we are shedding money this year. Where so it could just be any contract they can get out of it. It looks like they're trying to do that because they cut both their starting defensive tackles. So I think financially, from ownership, they're just told like it's going to be a lean Christmas in Minneapolis. But Greenard is a stud, dude. Greenard, as soon as he is rostered, would become the best Jets edge rusher since. Let me not disparage anyone. Let me think about it. Dude, I mean, probably John Abraham. I don't know, man. like look, the guy got 80. The guy got like over 70 pressures a year ago. Right? When's the last time we had a 3-down edge rusher who could give you 12 sacks and 80 pressures? Not Calvin Pace falling in. We love Calvin Pace, but he was more of a dirty work kind of grinder. Fell into 10 sacks 1 year. Like Sean Ellis is more of an odd front end kind of player. So yeah, Greenard would be one of the best edge rushers this team has rostered in a long, long time. So, and his contract isn't crazy for what he does. And he could still play another 3 years at a high level because he's 28. So yeah, and then if you have him, and then I think if you have him and then you take Reese, and then McDonald is coming in as on like passing situations, like yeah, that's as your outside linebacker trio. That's yeah, I mean, you could now we're cooking with something. He's good, man. He could play. What do you think about drafting an edge in the first and second round? I mean, before free agency, looking at the depth chart, there would be plenty of snaps for for two of them to come in here and start playing, right? If they want to take, especially because you could take different types of edge players. I still don't know exactly how married they're going to be to 3-4 versus 4-3. So I wouldn't rule guys out. I'm not looking at this draft and saying, well, that guy's a 3-4, that guy's a 4-3. He can't play. Like, dude, if Zion Young is there at 33, like that's a football player, man, go take him. And you switch up your fronts and it'll be fine. Um, so yeah, if they want it, there would definitely be enough snaps where they need like two edge players who could play somewhat starting minutes. Should we grieve the loss of AVT? I've spiritually moved on from AVT. I think there's certain things that we have to spiritually move on from as a collective fan base before we can prosper. One of them is JFM. I'm not doing a very good job at it because I still talk about JFM. Like he's Reggie White, right? Like if we had JFM, then the global economy would be better and all this stuff. But JFM, good player, shouldn't have traded for him, but we gotta let him go. We gotta let him. He's moved on. I'm probably gonna learn Nashville barbecue, so we gotta accept that JFM is gone and he wasn't Reggie White. We have to accept that ABT, if he's healthy, is not like a real thing. And that Tanner McKee is not a real person. Like those three things, I think we have to accept in the coming days, and we'll all be better off for it. Yeah, I mean Grenard is a tier above Bradley Chubb. I mean Bradley Chubb, like they need edge help so bad that like Chubb can play when Chubb's fine, but Grenard is dude. Grenard is like he could be a game wrecker for stretches. Like Grenard is one of the more for the guys who are not household names. Like he is a legitimate beast. Let me look at and he wouldn't get a say if he wanted to come here. But obviously, you don't want it to be a hostage. You want him to sign an extension. So um, even last year, he had nine. He had okay. So last year, obviously down year, he missed some time at the end of the year. 2024, he had 11 sacks and 80 pressures, third in the NFL in pressures. He was first in the NFL in hurries, 44th in stops. He had three forced fumbles. That was third. He was fifth in solo tackles for the position. Jonathan Greenard was like a borderline all pro level player in 2024. In 2023, he had 14 sacks. So, yeah, and go back to 2021, he had, 8 sacks, but it seemed like he really popped those 2 years, 2023 and 2024. He was a really good player. Go to safety signing for me would be Kobe Bryant of Seattle. Fitzpatrick, yeah, that'd be fine. Minka, I mean, it depends. It depends on how much like would the Jets and Dolphins be willing to come to terms on like who's sharing some of the money. I think it'd be reasonable because clearly they're just trying to shed the books in Miami. It's clearly what's going on. John says need defenders on this team that give them an identity. Rankins, yeah, Sheldon Rankins because he had to be there when Glenn was the DC, right? They had to have overlapped. And Rankins is still pretty good in that as a role player on that Houston front. And he can play the odd front end. So yeah, I get that those 1 year stopgaps. That's fine. But do you see how I would kind of rather like just really go all in on some of those younger, more needle moving players? Yeah, I think Minka just might be more like easier to acquire because he has a relationship with the coaching staff and you could trade for him and he doesn't get a say. But yeah, Kobe Bryant over Minka Fitzpatrick, of course, because he's like 3 years younger. And he plays more of a true like he's a true free safety. He's one of Bryant is one of the guys who's like you stick him at post safety in cover one and you let him do his thing. In terms of draft comp for Minka Fitzpatrick, oh, day three pick. Day three pick. Yeah, no, nothing. I wouldn't even give a fourth round pick for Minka Fitzpatrick because you're taking on his money. So why am I gonna pay twice for a 29-year-old defensive back? No way. The Dolphins would be laughing their ass off if the Jets gave the 100th overall pick for Minka Fitzpatrick. Yeah, that's right. He was a corner at Cincinnati. Jets would trade Sherwood and reload that spot in the draft. Yeah, I mean, the Jets would trade Sherwood for a 2030 seventh rounder. If they could get off of his money, he would have been cut. Like if he had just 1 year of guarantees, he would have been cut. There's no way they would voluntarily take him on for 15 million for a second year after that year last year. No way. Gino Bridge, if he's good, then AG keeps his job. If he's bad, then we get good draft capital and he's cheap. Yeah, that's why Gino. It's like it's hard to talk about these quarterback options because there's like I think you have to start with the understanding that we all know that none of them are good. Um, I guess I'll frame it this way: like list the guys in order of percent chance they could be an average quarterback this upcoming year. Like Carson Wentz, I would say like less than 5%, like negligible chance. Maybe even 5% is high. Like Tyrod Taylor, because he won't last the season, so it's automatically like less than 5%. Um, Kyler Murray, I mean 35, like 40% that he could be an average quarterback, like maybe less than 50, but like if you have a pie chart in thirds, 1/3 chance, spin that. That's not a bad chance. Gino, maybe 25%. Kirk Cousins, maybe in that 35, percent chance. None of them it's more than 50 because they wouldn't be available for the most part. Derek Carr, 20-ish, like right. So that's how you kind of have to rank it. Like what percent, and then obviously you want to make them a free player because you want to keep your draft picks and your books clean. So Gino helps do that. Gino is embarrassing, really? What does he do that's embarrassing? I haven't followed. Does he I don't know. Gino seems like a kind of a regular guy. No? But I'll leave it there. We'll have lots of news tomorrow. Excited to see what they do. If you want to hit the thumbs up button on the way out, that'd be cool.